Welcome to Peter and Roughy's football show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Tam Cowan with me here on a Thursday. Delighted to have your company, and thank you very much to the thousands and thousands of people joining us in this football family on a daily basis at 4 o'clock. And if you don't get it live, you can watch it at your leisure on YouTube as well. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, and you'll get all the notifications of when we are on live and the unique video content that we're posting up. Some great programs coming your way very shortly. We'll be giving you details of some good legends who'll be in the studio, and of course we'll be looking back at one of Roughy's great days in 1971 very shortly with Roughy and the former Partick Thistle captain Alec Ray. Great to have you guys with us. Also, thank you to the countless amount of people who have downloaded the PLZ Soccer app, because on there is a submissions area in the menu, and you can actually just post a message to us that drops right in on the show, or indeed we read them later on. And with that in mind, thanks to Keith, who said, I'd like to ask Roughy if he thought Alan McCalliog at Kilmarnock deserved a cap for Scotland in the early 80s. I thought he was a great goalkeeper, says Keith. I recently, he's got another point that I'll get to in a minute, but what about Alan McCalliog?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think he was a young lad coming through on the scene, and Kilmarnock at that time had really good goalkeepers like Jim Stewart before him, I would have said he was good enough to get a cap.
Yeah, was there any Motherwell keeper who didn't get a cap that you thought was worthy of one?
For entertainment value alone, Hughie Sproat, Shuggy Sproat, had been brilliant. The guy that loved wearing the razor blade earring and all that. If he ran out at Fir Park into his goals and it was all Celtic fans there in the away end, he would wear his royal blue goalie top, and if it was Rangers fan, it'd be the emerald green. So brilliant entertainer. He loved. There's not many goalies, you never see goalies doing it now, but he loved dribbling the ball out his box and all that, you know.
There was a Motherwell goalkeeper that I thought was good at the time, and I don't know whether he got a Scotland cap or not when I was growing up as a boy. Keith McRae?
I think he did. Man City as well.
Yeah,
He went to Man City.
Did he get a Scotland cap? I'm not so sure.
No.
We had a lot of good goalies in the past, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also says, I recently saw a photo of Roughy with James Hunt taken in Airdrie at a car showroom. Do you have any stories about James Hunt? Any stories about James Hunt, Roughy?
No, I thought he was a bit eccentric.
A bit of a ladies' guy.
Yeah, he was. It was a motor show, and there were a couple of lovely dolly birds in the stand.
I think girls.
Yes.
I don't think you're like.
No, he was using that in the 1970s.
Yes, that's what they called it. And then they were, and I think they liked him. I think they took to him. You know,
Both of them.
Never shared any with me.
That's just the way to say. That's hard to believe with Bonzo alongside him. But I know where Keith's going.
He
with
was
this.
larger than life. You know, he was really. You know, he had the jeans, all ripped jeans and all that, and the persona of a superstar. And he was a superstar, wasn't he?
Oh,
He was
absolutely.
a world champion.
Are you kidding me? He was absolutely superb. Brian, who's a Dundee United fan in Malaysia, says, hi gents, have you uploaded Wednesday's podcast yet? Yes, we did. It is up there, Brian. I'm sorry that you couldn't find it, but it's definitely there. Jamie in northeast Thailand says, hi chaps, I'm just wondering if Tam McManus is feeling better to come back. I'm curious to see what the doctor has put on his sick note. Because I don't know if you're aware of it, Tam, but Tam has thrown a grenade over the Ryan Porteous situation at the weekend, and then suddenly he's not feeling well. So
exactly, that wasn't a great surprise that the appeal was chucked out. But you know what? That was one of them. See, Ryan Porteous. It's what being a football fan's all about. If he's your player, in which case, obviously the Hibs fans, you think, no, it was a hard, fair challenge. But if it had been against a Hibs player, I'm sure the Hibs players and fans, of course, would have been demanding a red, you know. I always think in situations like that, if you're able just to imagine how the other half see it, you know, and be quite open-minded in that respect, it's not a bad way of looking at it.
Well, you're a neutral. How did you see it?
I thought it was a red card. I looked a bit reckless.
Hi Peter and the team. This week it seems to be Expat week with all the people putting in messages. So he says, I'll throw my tuppence worth in from Nashville, Tennessee. Have you ever been there?
Yeah, I was there 2 years ago when we did that wee tour with Maggie. We went to Kentucky, Nashville, New Orleans, and further down, and then over to see my son in San Diego. But Nashville was just a buzz.
Best thing about Nashville, the main drag, it's one wee bar after another, all the live music. They've got like the big goldfish bowl, big giant brandy glass on top of the piano or whatever it might be, or next to the boy with the guitar, and the money's got in. See, when I was there, Peter, I think anybody, these were just bars, remember, anybody that was doing an act in any one of the bars, you could have put them on at the Hydro, you know, and they'd have sold the place out. They were all absolutely brilliant, different class.
One of the things I noticed, like, that was looked really good, it was like not the pedal things.
Bikes.
Not a bike, but a bigger, no, like a bigger thing, and you sat in it and you had a bar.
A rickshaw.
It was a drink.
Oh, right.
No, it was a big, I don't know how to explain it.
Rickshaw.
Anyway, you just pedalled along and drank at the bar at the same time, and they just drove about all the streets.
Was it a rickshaw?
No, there was about 12 or 14 people in it.
Oh, right. Was it a big rickshaw?
Yeah, bigger than that.
Right,
I don't know if any of the folk out in that neck of the woods would say hello to my pal Jimmy if you see him. He was a taxi driver for years, and he moved out there. I think it was out to Thailand, and he's now got a rickshaw, you know. And I texted him last week. I says, "How you doing with that?" He says, "Oh, I'm running off my feet."
Campbell Forsyth says Ian Docherty was a great Kilmarnock goalkeeper in the 60s.
Campbell Forsyth was a goalkeeper in Kilmarnock.
That's what he said.
Oh, I thought you said Campbell Forsyth.
Ian Docherty says Campbell Forsyth was a great
he was a
goalkeeper.
Scotland goalkeeper.
Have you met him?
He was a Scotland goalkeeper.
Roughy will agree with me here. The one that always gets mentioned, that's the son certainly in our radio show comes up. It comes up every couple of years. Or maybe any time there's a Scotland squad announcing, how come he didn't get in? And every now and again you fill a team for 1 to 11 with Scotland's greatest uncapped players. And I think Roughy will agree with me here, because the one that always gets the goalie's jersey whenever we've done this is Hamish McAlpine. You know, absolutely brilliant goalie. He was good at taking a penalty now and again as well. And always liked to, it wasn't Roughy that told us, I think it was Davy Bowman, the great Hamish McAlpine story where it was at Parkhead, I think it was, Celtic against Dundee United, and for whatever reason, I know he didn't need much reason, Jim McCalliog got absolutely beasted into the team at half time, you know, and Hamish McAlpine got it in particular, you know, to the point, and it was deemed it wasn't his fault. Hamish had a wee kind of the fingers up to him, and I went in and just had a shower. He said, "I'm not going out the second half," you know. And they were all panicking and all that, you know, but Jim McCalliog was so adamant at the start. I don't know who it was he'd chosen to get in goals, Eamon Bannon, whoever it might have been, Billy Kirkwood, you know. But then they managed to talk Hamish McAlpine, and it was a big game that year of Celtic Dundee United. And apparently, this is a great bit, and I've never seen it. If you see the footage of it, when Dundee United run out for the second half, Hamish McAlpine's hair is soaking wet. He had been in the shower, you know, but they managed to talk him round. But he was a great goalie.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what, I know he's maybe had a wee bit of the Just for Men and the Mauser and the hair and all that, but still looks amazing.
Yeah,
saw him a couple of years ago. Oh, looks great, Hamish.
He does look great. So anyway, from Nashville, Tennessee, I love watching the show on YouTube, listening to all the various guests. It makes me think of being back in a Scottish pub on a Saturday afternoon, listening to all the different stereotypes of Scottish football fans. And he said, now he's kind of characterised all the people who are on the show without naming them, right?
All right.
And he says you have the person always banging on about their Diddy team winning a cup one time. The person always banging on about German football. The old guy always banging on about Scotland being a good team in the 70s. The young trendy guy in the sharp suit. The person always comparing our game to English football. The person who always shows up with the dodgy haircuts.
Alison?
You're in big trouble. The guy going round the pub trying to flog tracksuits. I don't know who that is. And of course the Old Firm fans going out of their way to agree with one another to prove they aren't bitter, but they really can't stand one another.
Well, he's definitely listening to the show every night.
And he says the person trying to give a decent analysis but is continually drowned out by the clowns, and the person in the middle trying to keep the peace. I'll let you figure out who's who. All the best. Thanks for that. That's great.
Good on them.
So, and with that in mind, a couple of little ones I'm going to read out just quickly. Jim, who's a Hibby, says, I just want to say, you might all have forgotten about the Nations League, but what a game it was last night. It had everything. I wasn't going to watch it, Roughy, and then I thought, to hell with it, I'm going to watch it in Spain. Italy was great.
Yeah, I thought the sending off probably spoiled it a wee bit, but the Spain certainly were a wee bit special up front. Italy with an amazing run. Was it 30 odd games without losing a game after the World Cup? Never You know, so for them to go, you've got to come to an end sometime. But I think the sending off just killed them.
Killed it. Yep. Nico Sullivan, thanks for mentioning that, Nico. And also, great show. Love knowledge of Hugh McDonald. Great to hear his stories of past players and stories. And Roughy's input is great stuff
Good
as
to
well.
see Hughie writing in.
Yes, absolutely. I know, it's just to keep him in a job. Anyway, a couple of things I want to talk about. Scotland-Israel is undoubtedly at the forefront of our minds. Over and above that, the SPFL has released the Premiership dates for 22-23 on the basis that we might make the World Cup. So here's what's going to happen with that shutdown. Just in case you're planning holidays, season starts 30th of July 2022, and then the 13th of November it'll be the shutdown begins. The World Cup begins on the 21st. The shutdown ends on the 17th of December, and the World Cup final is on the 18th of December. Then it's the League Cup final in Scotland on the 26th. The final league games the 28th of May, and then the 3rd of June is the Scottish Cup final. So they're shunting a fair few things there, Roughy.
Yeah, it didn't look too disruptive. I know we're not used to, you know, being shut down in November, but when there's something big on, I think everybody will buy into it. I think that was the main problem when they got the World Cup. Everybody was saying, "Oh, how are they going to do it? It's going to be a mess," and everybody blah blah. But they've done well. I think they've got the dates and they're out there early enough for everybody to get their head round. And it's a World Cup, so we've just got to.
They've not only got the dates of the Premiership fixtures for 2022. They have got the games as well, and a wee look in Aberdeen are no in them, Peter. So, so there we go. No, seriously, I had 2 points I would make about that. First up, if we're going to have a month effectively shut down when a World Cup is taking place, we need to qualify for it then, because that would be absolute torture, you know, particularly at that time of the year. So I was saying to Roughy before we started the show, if it's, and we've had many of them, if it's in the summer and the World Cup's on, fine, you go your holidays, you do other stuff, and you keep a wee eye on other countries that are taking part, but we can't do it this time. And then, what I would say as well, the SPFL maybe, you know, being a wee bit pessimistic here, I noticed that their season restarts the day before the World Cup final.
Yeah.
What if we get to the final?
Yeah, well, there'll be a special dispensation for
Well, I'm hoping so, aye.
the squad that's playing.
That would be awful.
Yeah, absolutely. But to be fair, Tom, would the BBC, with their budget stretch to sending you and Stuart out there?
I think we'll probably still use COVID as an excuse, and we'll date for the studio. I must be honest, I'm in the twice that I've had a wee gig at the BBC, if you like, with that. First was Euro 96. We had a great time scooting about down in England, and then France 98. That was great. We'd effectively
Is that the
3
last
weeks out
two
there.
occasions you've been out?
Aye, that would have been it, because obviously when we did qualify there, those games and stuff, we were, you know, it was COVID central, and you were just doing shows for the studio and stuff.
And if they, the funny thing is, and I only say this from obviously my experiences with Roughy, if we were going and suddenly the PLZ team were going out to Qatar, would you want to be involved and want to come along with us? Only due to the fact that I mention this because we took a producer with us the last time we went out to Barcelona Celtic, and after 4 days with Roughy, he'd had enough. he was mentally shot by Roughy's one-dimensional attitude to life.
Yes, well,
that's all I'm saying.
okay, I get what you mean now. But no, what a trip that would be to Qatar. Have you ever been to Qatar?
No. Just when you said that, sharing a room, Brian McLaughlin unfortunately got put with me in Seville.
Brian McLaughlin.
Chris McLaughlin in Seville.
Yeah.
And we were in one day, and I went into the shower and came out and dried myself, and he came out with my towel and he went, "That's it."
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I could sustain.
Were you going through a bad streak at the time, shall we say?
I don't think I could sustain 2 or 3 periods of that, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't even like, see, when you're away, for all the times I've been like to Vegas and that with pals, I know it costs you a wee bit more, I hate being in a room with one of my mates, even your best pal. You know, you like your sleep, you like your privacy, you know, I hate that. So, aye. If we go to Qatar, as long as we've all got separate rooms, Peter, that would be smash.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. But listen, John Carver was speaking yesterday from the Oriam with the Scotland squad. He's the assistant to Steve Clarke. He says he finds it hard to understand how people can criticise Steve Clarke. He says the criticism isn't coming from Scotland fans, but rather from the media. I'm amazed that John said that.
So I'm amazed as well. I mean, before the Denmark game and before the Austria game, I think we all honestly thought we were down and out. You know, they were two must-win games. So supporters and pundits get anxious, you know, when you think it's slipping away. So you've got every right to give an opinion, and the opinion at that time was right. They've done well since then. The Austria game has put a new slant on everything. So, but I think the bottom line is we're all right behind them, but we were getting a wee bit anxious that we were going to fall flat on our face again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there's been, I can't recall much harsh criticism, you know, and the best way to answer if he thinks any critics have been unfair is answer them on Saturday night and go out there, get your best team out there, get your best formation out there, and beat Israel in what Stevie Clarke has described as our World Cup final. We're in a brilliant position if we win that one on Saturday night.
Yeah, interestingly enough, another man has been added to the...
Have we ever played Israel before?
No, I don't think so. Well, not this week. One guy who's been added to the coaching staff is Austin McPhee. Hearts fans know all about Austin. We've had him on the show, Roughy. He's a great lad, really good lad, but quite knowledgeable about, obviously, the strategy of football, set pieces, really into the analysis of every aspect of the game behind the scenes. And he's already been praised by Aston Villa boss Dean Smith for Villa's set pieces this season, and I think John Carver thinks he'll be a really good addition to the Scotland camp.
We haven't been great at set players, but Austin's come in as a specialist on set players, so we're hoping that he might give us the edge. He's gone to Aston Villa. He's got off to a really good start with Aston Villa. I think they've scored a couple of goals from set players, so we're hoping that he's going to add something different. That's why Steve brought him in. But we do look at each other. I mean, they've got 2 or 3 guys who are out. We've got almost a fully fit squad.
Yeah, I think that the whole game changes on a regular basis. You know, there's fine lines. You know, whether it be your diet, you're building your muscles up, just giving individual players and teams the edge, and analysis is one of them. That I think everybody looks at what the opposition have, their strengths, their weaknesses, and what we can do to try and work out a way to beat maybe at times a better team, and set pieces is one of them.
Well, that's a thing as well, Peter, when we're kidding on there about just how often we play Israel. I don't think either nation has got any excuse for not knowing stuff about their opposition, you know, because we have played them that often. There was a piece that I read earlier this week, Stephen O'Donnell in Moneyball, saying that how he's in texting terms with some of the Israel players because he's seen them that much, and it was something like a bizarre stat, like a fifth, 20% of Stephen O'Donnell's caps have been against Israel. That's just how often we've played them, you know. Now on paper then it doesn't exactly make you want to change Saturday night plans to watch this game, but don't think that for a minute, because it is, to repeat myself, Stevie Clarke says, our World Cup final, so unmissable, and I quietly fancy our chances.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think we've got a good chance in this one, Roughy. I think we've got better. One of my friends is from Israel. He was texting me this morning saying, what do you think? He's obviously confident that he can get a draw, and I said, I think we're better now. I think we've got a good chance of winning.
Yeah, I think we're more confident now. I think we look more settled. I prefer us at home. You know, I would like to see us at home, you know, beating teams more comfortably rather than hanging on to a 1-0, which has been the case against Israel, and we saw them.
Listen, Roughy, you'll never believe this. The live nature of the show...
Brilliant, breaking news.
Well, the live nature of the show is, I mentioned to Jim McCalliog that we were going to try and get out to the presser yesterday. We missed it. And if there was any chance we could maybe get him on the show and have a wee natter with him, which would be great, because Roughy couldn't think of a better man, part of that team that defeated England by 3-2. Wembley win, Wembley woes. Jim's got a great book out, and it's going to be well worth a read if you are someone who likes a great autobiography and looking back at the history. I've got my fingers crossed. Jim is here with us. Jim, can you hear us? Can we hear you?
I can hear you, Peter. Lovely to join you.
Brilliant! I'm delighted that you're here with us. That's not bad going for us, getting the technology to work. So first and foremost, the book is out. I hope it'll certainly go down a storm in Sheffield, almost certainly in Wolverhampton, and up here I think we will absolutely be going crazy over it, because the memories. What was it like putting everything down in paper on your wonderful life in football?
It was excellent, Peter, because obviously with the pandemic, I had quite a lot of time on my hands. And with the help of my mum's scrapbook, my deeds on the football field, I was able to get ahead with the book. And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, I can't wait.
A step back in time, Peter.
Yeah, I can't wait to read it. I'm really looking forward to reading it. And the other thing I was going to ask you, Jim, is everybody wants to talk about 67 when they think of Jim McCalliog scoring the goal. What was it like on that day? Prior to it, was there a feeling in that dressing room, look, we've got to really batter the world champions?
I think so, Peter. We had to be positive, because England had won the last 19 games. But when you looked around the dressing room, as I did as a 20-year-old, and you see the stars that was in that dressing room, there was nothing to be afraid of. It was just to go out there and dominate the game, and I think that's what we did.
It's a wonderful memory. I mean, there are so many great memories. Scoring a goal for yourself must have been special. Listen, the other aspect of this that I've got to ask you, because I know that you're going to a special occasion in Wolverhampton tonight, I've got to ask you about, you played for Chelsea, Sheffield Wednesday, Manchester United, Southampton. You won the FA Cup with them, ironically, against United. Was there one particular club where you felt at home, you enjoyed your football, you were playing, and enjoyed yourself?
I enjoyed them all, Peter. I was having a great time, but obviously managers had decided differently. So that's the nature of football. But no regrets about anything at all.
Well, listen, one thing we're going to do, because we're in this new studio, hopefully by the time you come back up to Scotland, Jim, stay in touch with us and come into the studio, and we can have a right good natter about some of the great players and the great memories.
Yeah, that would be lovely, Peter. And hello to your guest there today.
Brilliant. Jim McCalliog, absolutely great. Good to get Jim on. He's down in the Black Country, getting ready for a nice night tonight. I think a lot of people look on with great affection. Roughy, you probably wouldn't know this. I'll remind you of it. He played in the FA Cup, Sheffield Wednesday, in the 60s. Played in the Fairs Cup against Tottenham in 70s with Wolves, narrowly beaten by Tottenham there. And of course, played in the 1976 FA Cup final. Southampton beat Man United by a goal to nil.
Yeah, I'm sure these memories are basically down in England, and I'm sure that the clubs associated with them down there will always remember these games. But for us, as you said, it's 67, and everybody talks about Jim Baxter keeping the ball up and that, but he was pivotal in that game. If you get a chance to see it on the telly, he was in the heart of everything in that game and scored, obviously. So no, it'd be great to read the book, and I'm sure a lot of people will buy into it.
Yeah. Still a shame that with all the technical wizardry that we can do nowadays. Anybody that's seen the James Bond film will know exactly what I'm talking about. You would think they could take that 67 game and just bring it out in beautiful, sharp colour. Yeah. Somebody could tweak away at it. It would be great to see, because you're right, the image you remember for it is Jim Baxter playing keep up, and it is very, very grainy and quite dark and that. It'd be great just to see the whole game. But what it highlights, that game has always highlighted the fact that, and you could say it as well about Roughy's squad in 78, but earlier than then, that game beating the world champions in the rain patch 3-2, it tells you that Scotland should, with the players that we had, we should have done a lot better back in the days. You know, we really should have.
We've got to get Jim in. That was great to speak to him there. It was good, nice of him to actually just call in. I knew he was heading down there, but I want to make sure that quite a few people who get the chance, Roughy, to get a hold of the book and just wallow in some great nostalgia, and of course, listen, wallow in some of Jim's great memories. I wonder, I should have asked him, but I'll wait till he comes into the studio. Strips, you know what it's like, Roughy. I wonder what's the best strip he's swapped from all the players that he played against.
That would be a good one, because they certainly did play against a lot of big players, you know, and even the big players he had in that team, you know, I would just, I should have asked him, no, it was a night out after.
No, listen, in 1967, beating the world champions is almost certainly a night out. But listen, brilliant to speak to Jim there. Different class. We will have Jim McCalliog in for a special programme. That is an absolute stonewall certainty. As far as Jim played in a successful Scotland team that day, as far as this side is the way it's going at the moment, I mentioned to Roughy that I feel confident that we can take Israel, Tam. Is that because I think we're better? Can you see the improvement?
What I can see is suddenly Scotland being cheered on by a full house at Hampden, which is going to be brilliant. Been so many games obviously in the past couple of years. That you know, just still makes you sad when you think back to the Euro finals, you know, and just the small crowds that were there, you know, 50,000 who, this was sold out weeks ago, Peter.
Yeah.
They're going to be absolutely up for it. Another reminder for any Scotland fans that are going to it, get there early. We don't want to read later about how they missed the kick-off or they missed the first goal or da-di-da-di-da.
It's a 5 o'clock kick-off.
I know, we'll get there early. Don't wait.
No, passports are in, it's just everybody in.
No, there's spot checks. There's spot checks for the COVID, so that's going to take some time.
That's why you want to get early.
In the era of the barcodes and all that with tickets, that's never exactly flawless as well. So it's no point, unlike the traditional way it's done, you know, the Tartan Army appearing for the local pubs at 5 minutes before kick-off, you know. Get there early and you'll enjoy it. And it's maybe the best argument yet. I know this is a debate that comes around every couple of years, and then there's some bad behaviour that upsets the apple cart, and you think, well, they're never going to introduce it now. But a game like this, you just wish it in big, huge concourse areas in the bowels of Hampden, if you like, if they were able to serve plastic tumblers of beer there and that, you know, and encourage the fans to get there early. They don't need to wait at the bar to the last minute in Cathcart Road or wherever it might have been. That would be tremendous. But any time that's
you want to see that happen, yeah.
Aye, and it makes sense. You can't, you know, we can't tar everybody with the same brush here, you know, and if a few folk misbehave. But sadly, in recent years, whenever, you know, that this particular argument has built up a head of steam, something always happens. And then you say, oh, well, it's not going to happen now. Did you see all that bother at such and such again?
But I am amazed, actually, that the football authorities have not really made a bigger push on this and really went to town with a government who basically have one law for one group of sports fans and one law for another.
I know, we had all the classic scenario was, if you went to Firhill on the Friday night for the rugby, you could get a drink. If you went to Firhill on the Saturday for the football, you couldn't get a drink. Yeah. That was always the classic example that was chucked out there. But, you know, maybe things changed, Peter. I mean, was it last week or the week before was it the Premiership get the nod for fans to stand at the games? After all, of course, the tragedies and the various reports and stuff. But, you know, things can change. So, you know, I don't think it'd ever get back to, I mean, you'd have played in games, Roughy, where there was guys there with their poly bags full of cans and the bottles of whiskey and all that, and before you know it, they were getting used as missiles and folk peeing down the back of their legs and all that. I don't think we're talking about getting back to their days, but, you know, maybe as happens globally now in football, you know, and down south, of course, you know, a pint of beer for the fans that want one.
I think as long as it's monitored, where, I mean, you're not going to let them go in and just get hammered. If somebody's there to monitor how hammered they'll be, I mean, a party this will be the Aiken Suite, and about 2 hours before the game, both sets of fans can go in and have a drink.
Right.
You know, so that's just the way, it's just how you monitor it.
This is before the game?
Yeah.
Right. Can they do that at half time?
I'm not too sure.
Oh, I was trying to lure him into my plot there, because if he'd have said aye, the authorities would have shot for him.
Absolutely. You nearly
Can't
got
do it at half time.
No.
It's cups of tea only and a wee cake.
Absolutely. As far as the team selection is concerned, there's a lot of pressure. I mean, it's difficult for you to be impartial, tell me right or tell me wrong, but Nathan Patterson is now really pushing. There's a big debate over who starts in that right back, full back role. I'm slightly on the defensive with Stephen O'Donnell on the basis that I think the boy is an easy target and he hasn't done anything wrong.
Yep.
And Nathan Patterson will undoubtedly be the right back for the next 10 years.
Exactly. And when Stephen O'Donnell got a fair bit of flack at the start of the Euros, he absolutely bounced back, and I thought he was brilliant. The game against England, he was superb. Nathan Patterson's time will come. I'm duty bound almost as a Motherwell fan to say, aye, well, I bet he picks the Rangers guy or the Motherwell guy, Yeah. But I think Stephen O'Donnell, he's in charge of the jersey just now. Looking at positive, if Stephen O'Donnell's form takes a dip, then isn't it great to know that you've got a boy like Patterson to come in and play?
Yeah, and Nathan Patterson seems like a fairly level-headed boy on this.
It's good to have competition in every department of the pitch. I've got that at club level and I've got it at country now, so it's obviously good to just have the competition. You push each other to try and do well each day in training. Whoever gets the nod, you need to go on and do well, and we've both done that every time we've been called upon. But obviously I'm still young just now, so I know I'm not going to get that jersey straight away, but I'm just going to need to keep working hard for it, and any opportunity I get, I need to take that.
Yeah, well done to Nathan. Feet on the ground, Roughy. He knows he just keeps doing what he's doing, keeps impressing the Rangers fans, and then eventually I think Steve Clarke will look and say, okay, there's the natural handover of the torch.
Yeah, I think we're nearly there now. I think the more tournaments we get into, you'll see some people stepping aside and letting the younger ones come in, and he's certainly one of them. So it's just a matter of time. He's got to bide his time at club level, and he'll have to bide his time at international level. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, Hugh Scott says, Peter, I don't think O'Donnell has ever let us down when he's played. More important, who's going to replace Hanley? He doesn't think it's going to be Scott McKenna. I mean, that's the one area, Roughy, just you and I beat each other up about it.
Did you reckon they're going to go with the three? They'll have McTominay, Kearney, and you're looking for somebody else.
You're looking for somebody for Hanley who's suspended along with Adams.
I'd be happy with Jack Henry.
Yeah, so would I.
I think he did. You can't hold it against him because he made a pass that hit somebody and went up the other end and scored.
Yeah, the boy scored from the halfway line.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
God's sake.
I know, but I mean, everybody holds it against him. What did you have a shot for?
Everybody. Have you spoken to people?
Who else did you say suspended?
Adams.
Aye.
Yeah.
So who's going to come in for him?
Well, we talked about it last night on the programme, Tam, and I think you're saying to yourself, is it a Kevin Nisbet? I would be quite happy if.
Because you've got to go with two up, surely.
Well, yes, but I would like to go with a natural striker. Some people say maybe Christie will get the nod, just off the striker.
Right.
But I would like.
Who's hot then now? Who's somebody you're saying, come on,
scored at Ibrox.
We're billing this as a World Cup final. Who can we just chuck in there and we're quietly confident he'll score?
Nisbet.
Right, okay. I was going to say Tony Watt.
I like Tony Watt.
Tony's been doing brilliantly.
Well, we've had him on the programme. We've been pushing for Tony Watt to get a shout. All he has to do, I think Tony's fairly level-headed about it and said, I've just got to keep scoring goals.
Are they forgetting that he's got one of the old firm on his CV? Are they forgetting this fact? Get him in there.
Calm down. Just get the chip off your shoulder and give it to Roughy. He's usually got that chip. Or set up a WhatsApp group. A WhatsApp?
I'll set up a WhatsApp.
We only got 3 strikers in the squad.
What?
We only got 3 strikers in the squad.
No, I think we've got more than that. I'll tell you in a minute once I look up
Lyndon Dykes
again.
After that superb.
Well, it's Lyndon Dykes and another. Is that fair?
Lyndon Dykes.
He'll be buzzing after that assist that he had last week. Did you see that one? The header while he was lying on the ground. It was superb. He's clearly very confident in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's Lyndon Dykes and another, Roughy.
I prefer a striker. I don't want any. We've got enough people in midfield, the McGinns, who can get forward and create havoc. So,
Aye.
No, I would like a striker. And Nisbet has got something to prove. He's got something to prove to people that he can play at this level. So that's always a good thing when you've got a player going out wanting to prove to everybody. So.
And incidentally, he didn't just score at the weekend against Rangers. He scored what I thought was a cracker. Mm-hmm. perfectly placed. And to beat a goalie like Alan McGregor.
I'd throw Nisbet in, but the other options are Ryan Fraser and Ryan Christie.
So striker.
Well, it's not my fault. Stop shouting at me. I'm just telling you what the squad's all about. Anyway, what about Israel? How good are they? Our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi gives you the lowdown.
Scotland meet Israel on Saturday for the 7th time in the last 3 years, and every single game has been a tense affair with no more than one goal between the sides. Scotland haven't won any of the last 4 encounters, although they did knock them out with the Euro 2020 playoff semi-final at Hampden 12 months ago on penalties. The Israelis are no doubt an improving side under Willi Ruttensteiner, and they sit third in the World Cup qualifying group, just 1 point behind the Scots. Their recent results have been a mixed bag, winning 4 of their last 6, including a 5-2 thriller against Austria, but they were hammered 4 and 5-0 by Portugal and Denmark. They arrived to Glasgow without 1 or 2 key players, including former Celtic man Hatem Abdelhamid, but they still boast lethal strikers Eden Sahabi and Munas de Boer, as well as new hoop star Liel Abada. Israel will be desperate to win the game to leapfrog Scotland into second place, but will no doubt be looking to keep it tight for as long as possible, with a nervy night at a solid Hampden Park in the offing.
Yeah, what's your take on it, Tom? A win for us?
I'm confident. In a day, honestly, Peter, I think it's a 50,000 crowd that's going to swing it for us.
Yeah.
I think that'll be absolutely brilliant. Again, the very fact that they did snap up the tickets immediately shows that the fans are right up for it. 5 o'clock on a Saturday. Everybody's always got an opinion on kick-off times, but that seems pretty decent as well.
You happy with 5 o'clock?
It'll help. Aye.
It kills your morning because you've got to get ready, because you've got to go to the press box. And then it kills your night because by the time we get out of there, it's what, 9:30, 10 o'clock?
Right. Well, I'm just thinking if it's these games that are 7:45 and all the rest of it, and there'll be folk tuned into the programme, Peter, who love criticising the guys in the media and all that. But for guys that have got to get copy sent back to their sports desk for the newspapers, any midweek games that are like 7:45, 8 o'clock, cup games that go to extra time, it's torture for these boys, So it gives them. Cuts them a wee bit of slack as well. On a very, very personal note, I'll finish the radio 2 o'clock on Saturday, and then I'll be able to pick and choose where I'm watching the game. So yeah, I think 5's fine, and it gives the punters, we're talking about them all charging to, if it had been like a Wednesday night, 7:45, they've maybe been at their work, they've sat in traffic approaching Hampden, but they're still determined to get that wee pint in a pub nearby, and then that's when the carnage happens at the turnstiles and they can't get in and all the rest of it. They can in a leisurely fashion, go for a couple of drinks before the game. That'll just kind of help the old vocal cords, and they'll cheer Scotland to a victory.
Okay.
I'm very confident, actually.
Yeah, so am I, actually. I don't know.
Comfortable 2-0.
Yeah, I hope it's not misplaced, this confidence. Hi, Peter. I watch the show every day in Poland, where I now stay. Let's me keep up to date with Scottish football, and the new app is fantastic. I thought you would like it. Says John McNamara. He says, I stayed in East Kilbride for over 30 years. Don't be too harsh on Tam McManus. We've kind of we haven't really laid into him today, Roughy. No. We haven't mentioned anything about him being yellow or spineless for having an opinion and then not turning up. But nevertheless, it just shows you, Tam, the amount of people who are now watching and tuning in from all over the globe, just making sure they're getting their feed off the football.
It's brilliant. And if I can let you into a wee secret, this is quite a story and a half that I only discovered myself this morning. We've got a Nobel Peace, a Nobel Prize winner, not the Peace Prize, a Nobel Prize winner who is absolutely desperate to come on off the ball with me and Stuart.
Yeah.
We only heard this morning. It's bizarre. The guy, he won the Nobel Prize for chemistry.
Yes.
Where's he from originally?
Bride.
Nearly, Bellshill.
Bellshill.
He's originally from Bellshill.
Yeah.
He now lives out in the States, and he was doing an interview, I think it was just yesterday, or maybe even this morning, with somebody at BBC Scotland, and one of the first things that he said is that what keeps him in touch with the Scottish football, a bit like your viewers there, is off the ball.
Yeah.
And he says he'd love to come on. So I can safely say that we have never had a Nobel Prize winner as a guest. We tried for Nelson Mandela a few years back, but he wasn't up for it. But it's going to be great.
Well, I think it's good. Another thing about it, some people get a little bit miffed, sometimes if they think there's kind of a rivalry between shows. I mean, there's a great understanding, Roughy, of appreciation of how tough the business is. And I think we give great credit to Tam and Stuart when what they do their show on radio. There's the difficulty comes, Roughy, when every now and then both of us get a TV show, and then somehow we don't get a TV show. There's a period where we leather each other. But other than that,
I've listened. I listen to Tam on a Saturday when I'm going to the football, and he has given you a mention on numerous occasions.
Nobel Prize winner is a good one. But am I right in thinking the movie star? That's what I read. The movie star's a big fan of your programme.
Oh, Alan Cumming.
Alan Cumming.
Aye, Alan Cumming. Well, we were live on air on Saturday there. It was somebody texted me. He says, "Look at your Instagram." And I had a wee look, and Alan Cumming had been on it, and he'd left a wee story on Instagram with him out in New York. I'm assuming it was at his apartment out there, listening to Radio Scotland live while we were on air. And he posted it, so we got that put up as well. So it's good. So, and it's the week to talk about that. Of course, he had a major role in a Bond movie.
Yes.
In the past, he's done all the other stuff.
I think it was GoldenEye.
Take the High Road, and then he did the whole, which I thought was a great act, Victor and Barry.
Yes.
I remember when he did that, the duo.
He was actually I think he was in Chicago.
I saw him in that. I saw him in that in New York. He was
really
incredible. So he was tuned. So you never know. As I say, look at some of the locations, exotic and otherwise, Poland, that you give a wee shout out to there. You never know who's tuned in this day and age. It's a global media world.
Yes, it is. And Motherwell have added to the Hall of Fame inductees Bobby Ferrier.
Yeah.
He scored more goals than any other winger in Scotland's top league, more than Cooper Henderson and Jimmy Johnson when the Well won the league in 32. Are you aware of this, Tom?
He's one of them. If I put it into perspective, Peter, he's been inducted. I've got the pleasure, I'll be doing that again in November next month. And after, of course, COVID wiped us out last year. But Bobby Ferrier is just basically, if you're a Motherwell fan, certainly my age. He's a name He's a name that you always know. Well, look, to me, put it into perspective. When he's being inducted next month, and I think it's two of his grandsons that will be accepting the award. It's actually the 50th anniversary of his death.
Wow.
He died in 1971, so that puts it into perspective about when he played. But it's astonishing about his goals record, his appearance record, all the rest of it. But certainly, for a Motherwell fan like me, it's one of those names from the past.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, actually just before we did today's show, I was at the club for a wee meeting about this. And the great thing is that, and they were swithering about us at the time, but when we did the inaugural Hall of Fame night, which was smashing in 2019, 2020, of course, was wipeout in terms of doing it as an event with people, with players past and present, etc. But they kept the Hall of Fame going. Just kind of, they still inducted people, albeit it was just announced. And that included, and their relatives are going to get appropriate awards, or the people in person. But two of the great names that I'll chuck in who get inducted in 2020 that you had to allow the fans to show their appreciation for, Joe Wark and Davy Cooper. So we're going to make sure that next month's event, when we induct the 2021 Hall of Famers, that we'll get these folk all mentioned as well. So it's going to be smashing.
Yeah, great to just wallow in the nostalgia of it. Great if the players are alive as well, but if they're not, it's
and you
nice
know what,
to see
Peter, it's a great thing about. I'm no greedy. I've had arguments with my pals about this when I say, you know what, see if we never won another thing at Motherwell, I'd actually be quite happy with that in a strange way, because 1991, the only trophy I've ever seen us lifting, major trophy, would remain very, very special,
At the Scottish Cup?
Yes, I might have told you about it
Did
before.
you know?
I've never.
the Scottish Cup in 91.
But if you can see what I mean there, as a fan of a wee Diddy team, I quite like the fact, I don't want to be greedy and almost forget the years that you won trophies and all that.
You want to win a
But
cup
what I'm
again.
saying is, no, I do, but I'm saying if we never did,
Yeah.
that would always remain very special. And when you're singing for that particular thing, as a Motherwell fan, nostalgia is a brilliant thing. See, honestly, when you're able to wallow on that, it's absolutely brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Tam. Hi guys, hope all is well. I want to ask the panel what they think their 11 would be for Saturday. Will that rhyme off the 11 and then you can tweak?
Well, it'll be the same as with the centre half.
So Gordon there, and then the three in the centre half positions is McTominay, middle one is Henry, then left of that is Tierney, then it's Robertson and O'Donnell, then the middle three is McGinn, McGregor and Billy Gilmore, then up front it's Dykes and Nisbet maybe. Okay?
I'm happy with that. In fact, I would just send that to Stevie Clark,
And for Austin's sake, we better score for a corner or a free kick.
Yes.
But he's under a bit of pressure now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, the one thing about it, we've had him on, and he's a great lad. He's good at his job. He may well have got the short end of the stick at Hearts. at that time. Maybe not ideal for him to follow and guide the side once Daniel Stendhal had gone, but nevertheless he could only keep the ship going while they got to.
And incidentally, Peter, there's another reason for being confident about Saturday night. You know, there have been many times in the recent past where you'd have really struggled to rattle off a Scotland starting lineup as you just did there. You know, when there was players coming in, players coming out, you know, there was faces that you barely knew.
Yeah.
You just absolutely whacked that out there, and it actually sounded good.
Yeah, the other thing about it is I remember a period, Roughy, I don't know what show you were working on, or yourself, Tam, but, well, you'd have been still on Off the Ball, but there was a period in Bertie's reign where I couldn't even start with any player that I thought was going to get a start because they were throwing caps about like sweeties.
Yeah.
Came to the fore when I still feel ashamed about this, but it was not a bad wee gag. Me and Stuart one Saturday with Murdo MacLeod and Murdo was still doing a lot of punditry and analysis and that for the BBC. So, as you say, the caps were being given out as sweeties, and we were asking Murdo about what he thought of some of these fringe players. And just for a giggle, to see if he fell for it, I just made a name up. I said, what? I said, I can't even mind the name. And I said, and Murdo, the young guy, this Alan McDonald. And Murdo just hook, line and sinker. And he went, yes, I think if he comes in and he gets another couple of caps, he could prosper. You know, and I felt rotten about it the minute I did it. But it was a good laugh.
Anyway, apart from you, and I think you put out the right messages, Scotland fans hopefully will get there early, just in case those spot checks do take up a bit of time. Aberdeen have told their fans they won't need a vaccine passport to get into the games against Hearts and Hibs.
I don't need a jaggy son to get into the game. Deary me.
They won't need a passport, but it's because they don't think they'll get more than the 10,000. So, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's spot checks. I have my doubts, Roughy, about how rigorously people are going to enforce this. You know, I mean, there's always a way for people to try.
There's no doubt that the media, or certain media, will be at games to see how it's getting monitored. I'm sure we will see evidence on the telly for some journalists somewhere of how
you know
it's all
what?
working.
They could play the game, the folk carrying out the spot checks, right? Play the game. What I'm saying is, if it was me that was on duty to carry out some of the spot checks, the fans that you see coming in who've already got their phone out, right? I've got the app thing on there. So the fans who you can tell, or they've got the letter, and you think, right, he's ready to show it, he's definitely got one. Go to the guys, right? And that'll make it all quick as well, you know what I mean?
What happens if a fan comes up and he's not got the Jags, and the boy says, you've not got the Jags, and he says, 3 of the players in the park haven't got their Jags out.
Well, it doesn't matter because he's not getting in.
I know.
Not getting in.
No, but that's the kind of things.
Well, that's
it's not the year to go and Strictly Come Dancing, was it? If you've ever been asked on that.
No, exactly.
We're refusing it on that, COVID Central.
And with that in mind, I mean, even European games, we're still not back to normal. Celtic have confirmed they'll not have an away allocation for the away match against Ferencvaros next month. UK vaccination certificates are not valid in Hungary, Roughy. So there's that situation.
The Jambos will be at Ibrox.
The Jambos,
I'll tell you what, when you're looking at the league table, and you know, this is the right time for they to get their fans back in, because Hearts are obviously flying. They know. They were first half against Motherwell at the weekend. I thought they were dynamite. We really came into it second half. We actually ended up having more shots at goal than Hearts, but Hearts were great. And if you're talking about them going to Ibrox, and they're all making very, very confident sounds at Tynecastle, but this one they're talking about trying to go there and win, then I would reckon they've certainly got a much bigger chance if they've got a right good chunk of their support there in the corner of the stadium at Ibrox. So it does make a difference, it must.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Well, I agree with you on that, Tam, but I'm not so sure that Hearts can go to Ibrox and win. If anything, I thought Hibs had a better chance to go there and win. I thought there was more about Hibs, but the one player I really like in that Hearts lineup, Maningame, is a good player, Roughy. He can lift his head, he knows where to pick a pass, likes going forward.
Yeah, and that's the kind of player, well, you have been saying Celtic should have somebody like that, you know, who can pull everything together. They've been lacking in somebody like that, and certainly he's come right out of the blue, and he's a big player for Hearts. You could see it in that game against Motherwell.
Yeah, he was really good again. You know what I like as well, and I mean, maybe Kenny Dalglish, he also had delight when he scored the goal or whatever, but the Hearts fella, he plays with a smile on his face as well. He seems to be enjoying his football when I was watching that game. The pictures coming into the BBC on Saturday. I was watching it, and he seemed that he was just enjoying himself.
Yeah, I always try and read out some of the messages, certainly from people who are reacting to our comments. And one of the guys who's on YouTube, his tag it's not his real name, obviously, because YouTube hasn't quite got to that point yet, but his tagline is Brit Blue 1872. So as you can imagine, Roughy, he's a Rangers fan, and he says Rangers will wipe the floor with Hearts. so that's it. No other comment other than that.
Why they should go.
Eh?
I don't know why they should turn up.
Well, to be fair, actually, I agree with Brit Blue. I don't think they'll wipe the floor with them, but I think they'll win. I don't think Hearts are quite at that level yet. I might be wrong,
Right, you could look at it and say that maybe Hearts have just got after a flyer and their bubble will burst or whatever, and then you've got to remember they were in the Championship last year, and the rights. They don't have any right to win at Ibrox, but they've been playing really, really well, and the team kind of picks itself now for Robbie Nielsen, and I think they're in with a wee chance. I mean, Motherwell, we went there and got a draw, don't forget. So yeah, I think they've got a chance.
Okay, fingers crossed that we get a good game at least. I don't think they're going to. Win. That's just an opinion. Do you think they're going to win, Roughy?
No, I don't think they're going to win. You're relying on Boyce up front and Craig Gordon at the back, and everybody else playing to their strengths. But I just don't think they've got enough firepower at Ibrox.
Okay. When Tam came into the studios, obviously our producer and myself, Roughy, were talking about the James Bond movie. We're not going to spoil it for anybody because we've been to see it.
Hard to believe he dies in the end, isn't it?
It's
Is that the first time that's happened?
We're not going to spoil. We're not going to spoil anything for anybody. Do you know my nephew came out with a line like that once, which was for Top Gun. Everybody was looking forward to seeing it. I was looking forward to seeing it, and I said to him, "If you can't wait to see Top Gun," he says, "It's a great movie until Goose dies."
Oh,
and at that point, I looked at him and I thought, "Am I going to take him out with one punch, Roughy?"
Aye.
It ruined.
I've not seen the James Bond film for him to tune down. That was a really kidding.
Wait a minute. You never actually seen him dying.
Who?
Daniel Craig.
Are you stupid? Are you honestly stupid?
No.
Are you honestly stupid? We're trying not to spoil the plot, and
You just said he's dead.
No, he didn't say it. He hasn't seen it yet, Jim.
Bond never dies.
Honestly, it's there's going to be.
All I'm saying is you never seen him die.
Yeah, I know. All I can hear in my ear is my producer going. Honestly, you could have come up with a Scotland name for him.
If Roughy though is inadvertently stopped somebody for spending £8.50 and a wee plate of nachos, then good on you.
Well, that's another subject. What
Exactly.
were they nachos
Don't
they going?
try and square him out of it, by the way. The reason I was going to mention that is because, quite simply, we were coming up with a list.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up with a list in the studio.
I made my list
of the top 10 sports movies of all time.
Right, okay.
The reason why I mentioned that is because I read an article that was highlighted in the Athletic from John Park, who used to be the Celtic scout.
Yep.
And he was talking about that, the policy of looking for players, key, good players that weren't going to cost a fortune, who could be sold on maybe for a good profit. But initially he was looking for players of a certain standing who were not going to cost an arm and a leg and could go in and had a chance of getting into the Celtic first team.
Right.
And obviously lots of people relate it to the movie Moneyball, which starred Brad Pitt. And with that in mind, a lot of people actually look and say that Brentford's strategy is based on the Moneyball. And if anybody doesn't know what the Moneyball situation is, basically they sign players based on the stats of a player. And his, how many times he crosses it, how long does he last in a game, how many goals does he score, how many passes does he complete. So they look at that, and they look at people as they get older, and then they work out their value and whether they'd be worth the money to play for a team. And I think it was the Oakland Raiders, I think the baseball side, who defied all the odds, and they had used.
How does Moneyball end?
He dies.
Poor coach. Moneyball ends basically. I think the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders, win the pennant, but they don't win the overall. Tournament. But the one thing about it is the guy who was supposedly the main character of it, he had the chance to go and join the Chicago White Sox. And he knocked it back to stay in Oakland. But the Chicago White Sox then hired another coach and embraced his blueprint and ended their 70, 80, 100-year wait since Babe Ruth of winning the World Series. So,
are we getting a 10 here?
I've got my 10.
Calm your jets. We just can't. No, people are absolutely slaughtering you on our feed now.
All I'm saying is...
Right.
They should as well.
Give us.
By the way, I want to watch some Sky movies on it. I'll no spoil this one for you, but Titanic. Right. Honest, I had no idea. Right, here we go. My top 10 sports films, right? Yes, and I've got them on DVD, right?
Go on.
Number 1, the DVD of...
Is it in order?
Not necessarily.
No, okay.
The DVD of Motherwell winning the Scottish Cup in 1991, mate, it's an absolute blockbuster. Number 2, I've put very funny film, Cool Runnings, starring John Candy about the Jamaican bobsleigh team.
Right, yeah.
Number 3, superb. Peerless performance from Michael Sheen, The Damned United.
Magnificent.
Absolutely brilliant. Number 4, I've put the DVD of Motherwell beating Celtic in the semi-final that year. The replay, Colin O'Neill's Raker, Stevie Kirk's chip. Then I've put Rocky.
Yes.
Then I've gone with Rocky 2.
Yep.
Then I've gone Rocky 3. I was running out by this point. Then I've gone Rocky 4.
You can't go Rocky 5. It's the worst movie ever.
It was terrible. See, I've jumped then on a great film as well, The Colour of Money. Paul Newman, Tom Cruise, about the pool hustler and all the rest of it.
Absolutely.
It was, if you like, a follow-up when he was Eddie Felson. Was a character name for the Hustler film for the early 60s.
Yep.
Brilliant film. And finally, I had to have this one, and the DVD of Motherwell, the 2 legs of the play-off against Rangers in 2015.
Is this a 6-1?
Outstanding entertainment, yes.
6-1
in aggregate.
Okay.
That doesn't happen every week.
Ruffy, have you got a favourite
Well, I
one?
never came in early enough to get into this, but off the top of my head, Bull Durham.
Right.
The golf
Susan
one.
Sarandon, unbelievable.
Highly
Funny how
recommended.
people look
Is that
at
the one she dies?
Yeah. She's sent by a club. To be fair, anybody who thinks of Bull Durham automatically will say Kevin Costner, but you say Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, she was a big actress.
And the one I tell Peter that last night I was out for a wee curry with my good pal, veteran broadcaster, knows his music, this fella Billy Sloan.
Yes.
You'll have met Billy in your time, and Billy always jars me about the great films that I've not seen. And number 1 in his list, and it fits into this category, I've not seen it. You can tell me as well. Back Billy up, feel free if I should watch it. Raging Bull.
Yes.
I've never seen it.
One.
Brilliant, aye.
Yeah.
Raging Bull.
Black and white.
Aye.
Yeah. Field of Dreams.
I was going to say
Right.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
What's
a
the
good
saying?
If you build it, they will come.
That's it.
Yeah, simple as that.
Hey, Peter.
Going. Yeah. Yes, that's a good point. The
Chariots
studio.
of Fire.
Yep, Chariots of Fire. But I think Damned United is a great one. The other one I would say, I can't believe you never suggested Escape to Victory.
Yes.
Which is an absolute fantastic one. But if you do get a chance, one of the best, a couple of them that are really, really good that you should get a chance to see, if you're a sports lover, Hoop Dreams is a basketball one. Any Given Sunday, which has got Al Pacino in it.
He does the big famous speech in that.
It's the American football one. And the best one for me is a kind of a documentary film, but it's, just my love of the man who's my all-time hero, is When We Were Kings, which is Muhammad Ali and the Rumble in the Jungle documentary.
Ruffy, you must have seen with your horses background Seabiscuit.
Oh,
Is that good, aye?
I didn't. Does it catch at the end?
Seabiscuit.
Does it win the race?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
At this rate, I'll be seeing dead people.
apart from anything, he's just, honestly, you are an absolute madman. Listen, fingers crossed, tomorrow on the programme, we'll have Charlie Adam. We certainly won't have Tam McManus back with us, not feeling well at the moment, but Charlie will be with us. Ruffy and I will give you our predictions for Scotland. I think it's fairly obvious that we're quite confident that they
time up already,
they can win. It's just absolutely flown in.
Flew by.
Absolutely.
I watched some of these with other guests and
Tam, that's brilliant. Anyway,
Name them.
No, don't name them. Don't name them. Anyway, apart from anything else, don't forget to download the PLZ Soccer app, because so many people are doing it and posting messages as we are on the programme. I didn't get a chance to read out so many of them, and BW Golf has just sent us a message saying Coach Carter, which is absolutely fantastic, which has got a brilliant cast, and it's a great story if you get to see that. There's lots of messages there from so many people, and the app itself, you can download it now. Just basically, it has all the latest breaking stories from across Scotland, the UK, and right across the globe. And also, you can actually watch the programme. You can hit on the football show, and the latest programmes will come up for you to watch. If you miss any, it'll go back over them. It'll give you all the latest video news, morning and night, from Gabriel. And over and above that, if you go into submissions, you can post a message right away, and it drops straight into us live on the show. So you get it all at your fingertips. I don't know what more we can do for you other than say join us tomorrow if you can. From Tam, from Roughy, and from myself, Peter Martin, thank you to you for watching.